Go, Bryce. We're gonna go from Lightning McQueen to the scary skeleton. Right, Halloween 2012. You just saw the Lightning McQueen skeleton out in the driveway in the dark, although it was kind of hard to see in the dark. But this was my creation for last night, actually 2 nights ago, for Halloween. It's a Lightning McQueen car that I made remote control. You can see the radio there on the hood. And it was a big hit until the steering cable broke. I tested it, but evidently I didn't test it long enough because the steering cable didn't hold up. But I'll show you all that in a minute. For those interested in making a Lightning McQueen remote control, I can show you some things that were easy to do and a couple things, well, one in particular, obviously the steering that didn't work. So I'm going to start taking it apart and show you what's inside. Actually, let me show you a little bit more of it in operation here. I got the skeleton tie wrapped to the steering wheel. When the steering was working, it looked nice because his arms actually moved. A lot of people thought it was a real kid driving the car. Got some black lights down there. You can see those. I got 2 black lights. I got a big marine size 12-volt battery running an inverter that does the black lights, and then you can see the red light is actually a rope light from Christmas that I put underneath the car. Up inside there is a rope light taped up in there. Lots of duct tape on this project. You can see it on the wheels, making it black. So that was the lights. The lights were a big hit, and then I've got sound that you heard, and I'll show you how I did that here in a second. I think, to me, I've been doing this for a couple years, and the real big key to a successful prop is the lights and the music, or the sounds anyway. I guess we'll start with his head. See right away how the body was made. Not much to it. Chicken wire and PVC. And then inside the jersey here, I'll show you that's where the speakers are. This was where the sound was coming from, was an MP3 player. Nice little one that I bought for a couple bucks. Lots of good free audio off the internet. So I just turned that on. I had about 7 different things that just played in an endless loop on that. This is, it got a little battery that's charged up from the USB port on the computer. Alright, here's a little more close-up of the body, what was inside there. You can see the PC speakers, the bass box there up inside the neck area, and then the 2 speakers tie wrapped. It had plenty of sound. That's why I wanted to make the body hollow so the sound would escape. Didn't even have it turned up all the way, and you could hear it pretty well up and down the street. And you can see the frame, wooden frame that I made, screwed that in. It's only put a few holes in the Lightning McQueen, and it'll be back to normal once I put it back together. Just gotta solder a few wires together, but it'll be, nobody will know the difference that I did this. This was an RF switch that I got at Home Depot for 10 bucks. It's running off the inverter obviously, but that's what I powered the PC speakers with, and that allowed me to turn the sound on and off because it did get a little bit obnoxious now and then, but that comes with a little key fob. A little bit disappointed with the range on it to turn that 120 AC power on and off. It could only go about probably 25 feet. 20 feet was about all it would do, but it may have been because it was buried inside there, I don't know. There's a little better picture of the lights and the batteries. There's a small inverter I'll show you in a minute, and then a little power distribution gizmo. There you can see how the body was stuck on the car. I just used the PVC plugs, screwed those down, and then the PVC union, half-inch PVC union jams on there tight enough that that body wasn't going to go anywhere. And then if I had to do any work, which it turned out I did, I had to change a fuse at one point. It's easy to pop the body off and get in there to do your stuff. Nothing too fancy down here. I was going to put the board inside of a Tupperware box or something to keep it dry, but I ended up just putting it in a Ziploc bag and I had it taped shut. So in here is the RC receiver for the RC controller, and then the motor controller board that ran both the wheels off of one channel and then the steering motor off the other channel. And I'll show you that in a little more detail in a minute. And I just wired the motors together because if you don't power one, I found out that it's a brake. As it was just going to run one wheel and avoid any differential issues, but turned out not to be an issue, so I just wired them both together. In fact, I ran one set of wires from one motor right over to the other motor, and then these two just go to the motor controller. All right, I don't know how well you can be able to see this, but there's the bracket that attached to the steering shaft, the steering wheel shaft, that I soldered together. And then this is a a window motor out of a car, 12 volts, and it had that white gear on it that was nice, and those cables. So I crimped the cables to the bracket, and that's what broke. You can see the one cable broke off right there, where it went into the side of the gear here. Here's the lead ball that held the cable in. And I was surprised. I mean, this cable's, it's not an 1/8 inch thick, but it's more than a 1/16 inch thick stainless steel cable. The problem with it is it's a motor, it's not a servo. And so I never knew when I was hard over, you know, the motor was always getting overworked, and so motor controller would kick out. I'm sure everything would press every time I went hard left or hard right. If motor controller did kick out, it had a nice little reset, you know, 20 to 30 seconds it would reset and off I'd go again. But I mechanically couldn't handle the rest. And I bolted it through the floorboards with 3/4 2 bolts here, so it was good and solid. But ideally, it would have a servo where it, you know, only certain amount of stops, or limit switches or something fancy, and obviously heavier cables for next time if I do this again. And in case you're wondering, that white cord there is from the red rope lights that are wrapped around the bottom of the vehicle that plugged in the inverter outlet. And here's the little brackets that I screwed to the bulkhead, or the saw, whatever you call it, to hold the frame into two of those. The wood frame in that you saw. So those will be 2 holes, or 4 holes that'll remain in Lightning McQueen, and then other than that, the only evidence will be if we'll use the blade motor in. Now the body, you can see my wife helped me wrap it with a vinyl covering. We try using double back tape, double sticky tape underneath to try to get it to follow the curves. It didn't stick very long. It helped in a couple places, but mostly it's duct tape beneath and then duct tape inside the cockpit here. Worked out pretty good. And I didn't know what to do with the wheels, but I had some black duct tape laying around to cover those in black duct tape. And then my oldest son had fun with the blood, putting some blood on the front. One thing I tried to do was to quiet the wheels down. These hard plastic wheels are hollow, and when you're driving down the road, running over pebbles and stuff, the sound really echoes in there. So the front two, I actually filled in self-inflated foam. I drilled a couple of holes in the back and got a squirt can of that foam. I put a half a can in each of the front tires. You feel that they're a little heavier now, and I think it did help quite a bit with the noise. On the back two, I didn't want to do that. I was worried that foam would get into the gears and the transmission and things. So I actually sprayed a whole can of the tool grip, the non-slip grip that you can get in a spray can, basically spray rubber. And that worked out really well, actually. It's got almost a 1/16 of an inch layer of rubber on those. Right up, had the costume, skeleton that lit up real nice with the black lights. There's the fabric that was wrapped on the body. Power supply, or I should say a power strip. This was a little 12 volt distribution box that I used. A switch on the side that turned off the whole system. And there's the remote control and the receiver for the remote control. A couple brackets that I made to mount the frame. Lights, black lights. Here's the driver board. That's the Scorpio XL from robotpower.com. And there's the inverter and a little bracket that I made for the motor to mount the steering motor, which is right here, a wiper motor from a car. Some of the hardware. This is the bracket that I made up to bolt to the steering arm, the steering wheel shaft, clamped on there with a set screw, and then the cables pulled on it to turn it. And that was my downfall. The cable actually snapped. The lead ball broke off inside here. cable broke, which I was really surprised by. But I had a heavy battery in there, and I couldn't tell when to stop, and so it was getting over torqued all the time. And then here's the frame. That was the body with the speakers in there, the PC speakers. Made the sound that you heard, so you will hear depending on how I edit this. And then this frame bolted into Lightning, and these guys were screwed down, and that's where the PVC union stuck in, so it was easy to get off to get access and do the work inside. There's the battery that was overkill, and then the rope lights that were underneath the car. Well, that was everything for the monster car that was Lightning McQueen.